Good evening and welcome to the Orange Board of Finance special meeting. Today is Monday, October 21st. Call the meeting to order at 7:06, and due to early voting, that's why we are here in the conference room at the Orange Police Department. We'll start by having everyone introduce themselves, beginning on my right.
Jim Leahy.
Anna Mann?
Kevin McNabola.
John Safrelli, Finance Director.
Chad Lombardi.
Ajit Jain.
Joe Nuzzo.
Deb Satonic.
Kevin Houlihan, thank you. Item 3 is public dialogue. Since there's no one here from the public, we'll move on to item number 4, Amity update. Mr. Nuzzo.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, everyone. So we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, October 7th. Not too much on the agenda, but a couple of things of note that we discussed. I talked a little bit about the education cost sharing percentage of ours, which is now 67%. As discussed earlier, there was a reported number of special ed related students of the total population in the district of about 14%. So I'll have maybe Dr. Mann explain that a little bit more to us, but special ed, she mentioned the 504 program. And so we didn't have any specifics on that percentage of the special ed students that receive services from us, but if Dr. Mann would like to take 2 minutes and just
Sure.
maybe give us.
Yeah, so
little
depending
more
on
detail.
what that percentage is including, if it's students who receive services, it could be special education services, which is, under special education, under IDEA, there's a subset of students who need modifications to their instruction or their materials. And so based on a specific disability, learning difference or disability. So that's one part of students who receive services. Another cohort of students who might be included in that, but I don't know what they were talking about, are students who are under a 504 plan. And a person might be on a 504 plan for a reason that impacts a major life function. And if school is that major life function, so for example, it could be for a medical disability, it could be for a mental health disability, it could be for something else. So that might be inclusive of that. So a student may receive their 504 plan, the service might be through the nursing department, or it also might be through the counseling department, or it might be because they need extra time on tests. So it kind of depends on what that number is, but those are the two areas in public education that would cover students under IDEA, which is the Individual Disabilities
Thank you
Education
for that.
Act.
Appreciate your time on that and your comments. One thing I learned, and I wasn't sure if I heard this before, is that in order for us to receive the 67% ECS reimbursement rate, we need to spend 4.5 times the average student cost, which is about $96,000 a year before receiving that percentage. I don't remember hearing that previously.
It's been a long
You got-
time.
yeah,
It's been a
yeah.
long time law.
So I didn't know that. So the first time I heard it, I was really like, we have to spend 4.5 times. And they said the average cost per student is about $20,000, give or take. So we have to spend about $96,000 per student for special ed services before receiving any of the state's 2/3 ECS reimbursement
Yeah,
rate.
the reimbursement
That makes
piece.
sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had not heard that before that way. And those are a couple main things we talked about. Again, the budget is early in the year, so not too much happening with that. Couple of transfers over $3,000 included, about $10,000 for duct cleaning at Amity Middle School Orange. And then the district also ordered 40 new laptop computers at a cost of about $32,000. I guess they were looking for 20, but once they started to look into the other devices, they were getting older. Some were 7 years old and beyond for useful life. So they ordered 40 new laptops at a cost of about $32,000. And that was basically it. Again, not too much on the agenda a couple of weeks ago. And that was basically it. Jim, anything to add, Jim, on the Amity update?
I have nothing to add.
Yeah, it was
on
not
that,
much,
Joe.
it was kind of a quiet meeting, so as you would expect this time of year.
Joe, you mentioned the average expense is 96,000 per student for special ed kids. So that is the average expense or?
No, that's what it
No,
has to
that's the
exceed.
threshold.
That's a threshold for us to get reimbursed.
Okay.
But we're
Yes,
not, we're
yes.
spending 20, you said, or Kevin?
Well, his average student cost is about $20,000.
Okay,
So we have to spend 4.5 times the average cost.
Per student,
Yes.
before we get any.
Per
for
student to
special-
get the, yeah, the
get the
educational
reimbursement.
cost share, which
Yeah.
essentially, cost sharing with the state. So
Yeah.
they reimburse districts for the percentage of the number of students that go over that 4.5 times.
So, so Anna, from a practical point of view, the 20,000 is an average for each special ed student?
No,
No.
the 20,000 is called the per pupil expenditure. So there, and I'm not exactly sure, you might know better than I on how you come up with the per pupil expenditure, but essentially, every district comes up with how much it costs on average per pupil.
Oh, okay.
And so this is just across the district, the 2,100 or 2,300 kids, each student costs about $20,000, and they would have a specific amount.
Okay.
Terry would have that, or, Matt,
So when
Mike Gray.
when they start having, a special needs kid, if they start spending more on me and it gets over the,
Right.
what was it,
4.5 times.
94?
Yeah.
And
So
96
that's-
is what
That's
Daddy
when it
said.
kicks in, the state helps
Then
out.
the ECS would come in, yeah,
Okay.
right. And that's, the $20,000, so if we have a student from Milford who applies to come for
Yep.
tuition, they would charge the per pupil expenditure. That's what the tuition cost would be.
John, did you have something?
Yeah, I did speak with Terry at the end of last week, hoping to get our new percentage of the Amity students, and she didn't have it yet as of Thursday. So once I get that, I'll send it out all to you in an email. I know it's
That's based on
pretty
the October
important
one.
to us, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a little sidebar off question, because I had a parent approach me. And since you're not there now, but you've been there through a lot of, success with the sports at the high school. The baseball team has to buy their own rings?
I don't know the answer to that. I haven't had a kid who's been on a state championship team. So, sorry.
Contribute to that, we could do a fundraiser easy for that, I mean, that would make-
Usually, so it's,
It was, we have
Again,
surpluses and everything else. I was like,
well, remember that you can't just spend things that, they don't, unless they budget for it, technically, in the school budget. They wouldn't have it appropriated that way, so unless they transferred it, and if you do it for one team, remember you have to do it for all teams.
Sure.
Which is
If they
great.
become state champions, we should have such
Yeah,
problems.
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
Sure.
Okay, so when the football team wins,
Mm-hmm.
$400 to $500 a pop, and there are 66 kids.
I don't think it
Well,
was,
that gets a big
the-
number.
Are that many?
I'm just telling you.
this was, I think it was under 300, what the person told me. I don't.
Yeah, I
but-
don't know, but again, that's
Hey,
more
if they
what
win
a
a state
school
championship in
administration.
football, I'll chip in too.
Right.
I would be happy to pay for a state
I think
championship
it's
ring.
worthy
but-
to do a fundraiser. I mean, we did the fire truck, members of this board at that point in time, right? We were the ones who said, let's not, as individual members of the town, right? That's how we did it.
Yeah.
And we all contributed whatever we could, and then we set the example, and look what we did there. I mean, it was like 200 grand. I mean,
Yep.
the fundraiser on, what do you call it?
Carnival?
No, the GoFundMe
Oh, yeah.
was only 67. And I think that was short because they eventually Jimmy shut it down in November. There was still people giving. But we were getting, outside of that, we were getting massive number of checks, number one. And number two, we were getting explosion of the number of people who said, well, I'll give you $100, but I think I'll put it into the raffle tickets, you know what I mean? So they had a lot more raffle tickets as well, so. it
And
was-
you had a couple little kids over right out here by the
Right.
police department that were selling lemonade or
And it
something.
did such a great thing for the
To
town, a lot
give
of
it to
people
the-
didn't even know we had a volunteer fire department. I mean, and I tried to write a few articles. So anyway, I think we could do the same type of thing for special situations. I mean, it's our kids, it's our town, right?
Yeah, so I mean, certainly we could.
You'll have to talk to the board and Jen, right?
So the way that would work is if you did do a fundraiser, then you would donate the funds to, and then they would just have to accept those funds
As a donation.
as a donation. And then when the girls' track team outdoor wins the state championship, hopefully this body would do the same thing, and there are 110 kids on the track team.
Oh, that many kids, wow.
On the
So-
Amity girls' team?
Yeah.
You got track, you got shot put, right, you got javelin.
I know, but
Yeah.
I've been familiar with the teams. I've never seen 110, that's
Oh,
great.
well, that's that's
have a
what the
JV
average
team.
is for both the
I mean,
boys and the
Nagasaki
girls.
used to do that indoors, but anyway.
So that's one of the things, right, that because they can't really anticipate necessarily, and that's a really nice to have and an awesome accolade. It's not a need to have. And school budgets are about needs to have.
No, I get it, but if you win a state title, it's pretty big.
Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
think you do a fundraising effort,
Absolutely.
and then, you know, if you can get half of the money, then you've cut the cost for the kids in half.
Just
I mean,
donate
you
it
know.
right to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I
the
would-
issue is not trying,
I
really,
would,
to me.
encourage you to organize it quickly, because they're gonna wanna get that done, because that happened in June,
Oh, boy, yeah.
the state championship.
Okay.
Okay, anything else with Amity for
No,
Joe?
good, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, item number 5, Mr. Leahy, Vice Chairman's report.
My vice chairman's report is, I put a lot of effort into item number 10, so I'll defer my vice chairman report as input on item number 10, looking at the revenue and expense reports for this one.
All right,
Thank you.
item number 6, discussion and approval of minutes from September 16th, 2024, regular meeting.
Okay, here we are. John, you got to lead off now. By the way, John,
Oh, boy.
those Yankees.
I need 4 more wins. Don't jinx me. Don't jinx me, please.
I don't like either of them, so I gotta
Yeah,
just,
me neither, right?
just let it go 7 and be excited.
Yeah.
I hope Bill Kraut's watching tonight and he sees the little thing on my shirt here.
Okay.
The only,
I will say, speaking of Amity baseball and baseball, Amity held a lovely Hall of Fame and Hall of Honor recognition dinner on Thursday where we had 10 Hall of Fame. So Hall of Fame is the athletic portion, and then Hall of Honor is the kind of success in life portion. And of the 10 people inducted into the Hall of Fame, at least 4 or 5 of them were baseball players, including Jason Esposito, who was coaching Cleveland, and Mike Morris, who's one of our local legends, and then a couple other pretty important, impressive former athletes of Amity. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, good stuff.
They've certainly had a lot of
They were all part
solid
of,
baseball teams.
yeah,
Yeah.
baseball state championship teams.
Yeah.
I can't even read it on the screen up there, so I don't think I'm doing the right thing.
Okay.
John,
okay,
what do you
the,
got?
the only thing I had up in the board members present,
Yes.
I think we should just identify Chad as the alternate there. And that's all I had.
So I have something under the Amity update. Second line, there has been a new legislation at the state level. I will replace on with state.
Yeah,
At the state level. And then the last word, monies, I will replace it with funds.
Funds,
Yeah,
there she,
Yep.
okay.
that's all I have.
Oh, okay. Think we're on?
If you're talking, but
Yeah.
only if it's.
Okay, on that same paragraph, first paragraph up, on the Amity update there, my brain had a little bit of problem when I got to the second sentence. There has been new legislation on the state level which now allows Amity to use a 2% reserve for educational expenditures as well as for capital projects. My brain was thinking this way, so Deb, I'll read it to you and then the team can discuss if they think it's off base. Allows, I don't have a problem with the idea that's there, I just think it could be clearer stated. Allows Amity to use a 2% reserve for capital projects, but also for educational expenditures as well. I think that we knew that it was capital projects. I think the news was the but also educated. I would have written it that way. It was more helpful to my brain when I considered it there, so that's a thought to do. Over on page 3, item 10. Where are we here? Something happened to my brain when I got, item 10, first bullet. Some of the language here a little off for me. Mr. Cifarelli reviewed the year-end revenue with the board members. He commended Mr. Williams for doing an excellent job on interest. When I read the words on interest, I felt, I think I know what I definitely know what he's meaning, but to the outsider, I think not. So, on the interest line item, or I'd look for help here, but it doesn't, an excellent job on interest. It just left me a little flat there.
Add-
So-
Just add the word income.
Interest
Add
income,
to it.
excellent.
Yeah.
Great, love the idea. Similarly, that last sentence there, the tax revenue has also been great. That's a little soft at best. The tax revenue has also been higher than the 99.25% that was budgeted, or something. I'll look again for ideas, but the tax revenue has also been
I
great,
would
felt a
say
little
the
off.
tax revenue collection was over 100%.
Yeah, 'cause that's what
Sounds
you said
good.
in the meeting.
Right.
Probably was. Next bullet, last sentence, Mr. Cifarelli reviewed the expenditures. There's a difference of opinion regarding the auditing procedure, so he is unclear how the expenditures will be handled. That said nothing to me. So maybe I was a little asleep at the meeting that time, but John, I'll throw it to you.
I would just strike that whole sentence.
Okay. And finally, Mr. Chairman, on the number 12, it says that the October item 12, last sentence, the October meeting will be a special meeting. I thought this is our regular meeting.
It's a regular meeting.
But we had
A
to
special
move it.
occasion.
Once you move it,
Yeah.
Once you move it-
Oh, okay.
once you move it,
I had
or
that- I had
change
that
the
same
time
comment.
or anything.
I had the same
Okay.
comment.
Yeah, because the other,
Okay, how about this? As a result, we will move the meeting to the police station, and thus, the October meeting becomes a special meeting. I just didn't have a
well, we
context.
can't, we never even
No.
talked about the police
No,
station.
you
yet.
can't.
We didn't
You
know.
gotta- It's gotta be what we talked about.
Oh, so you figure you'll leave it that way, John?
I would leave it that way.
All right, roger that.
Just clean up the High Plains.
All right.
'Cause that's where we talked about.
So what do you want to do in the High Plains piece, John?
I would just leave that whole paragraph the way it is.
I'm good.
Because that's where we
That's what
were.
we talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I got, Kid.
I had one, under Amity update, Cap.
Back on page 1, Joe?
Yeah, second
Thank you.
and third bullets, I think we're kind of, I think what we need to do there is, if you go to the third bullet,
Yep.
I reviewed the balance in the Amity pension, OPEB, trust, and sick and severance, kind of separate. The next sentence, or next sentences, I put in parentheses to move that up in the bullet up above. That's kind of what we were talking about. In the same context, report the Amity's intended to use some of the current surplus, and that, it mentioned $2.1 million surplus, 2% will go into the reserve, and then kind of continue that thought in the prior bullet, that's all. I just moved that one sentence up above, it's fine, you got it, good. That's it.
Okay, anyone? Oh, sorry.
Anything else? Is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved?
Second?
Second by Kevin. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, unanimous. Great. Okay, item number 7, to approve transfer of $44,359.79 to Fred Wolf Park Playground account. It's kind of an exact number.
Yes, it is.
Down to the penny.
What happened there is, back in October, when I was having the medical issues, the Board of Selectmen approved the additional cost at Fred Wolf Park to put down the rubberized matting on the ground instead of doing what we've done over at High Plains with the, I don't know, mulch or whatever underneath. So the total cost for the project was about $544,359. We had a steep grant of $500,000. So this is a transfer just to cover the remaining amount for the playground equipment and the rubberized mat underneath. And it's coming out of the account that it's coming out of is a Park and Rec account that carries a balance from their 700 series of programs and stuff, and there's enough money in there to take it out of there to balance the other account. Art picked this up as part of the audit. So I really should have had it to you last October, and I think I even missed that meeting. I think I might have been in the hospital at that time.
So what do you need from us, John?
Just a motion to approve
Yeah, I'll
the
make that
transfer
motion, sure.
using those accounts.
Second motion?
Second motion, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, unanimous. Okay. Item number 8, to review and approve regular meeting dates for 2025.
Okay, we do this every year, has to be filed with the town clerk. And if we, such as tonight, if we ever move off any of these dates or move the location, it then becomes a special meeting.
So we got
And
3 Irish people here are probably not happy about one of these dates, but
March 17th.
Yeah,
that's
I
fine
haven't
with
got
me.
my 2025 calendar downloaded yet, and I haven't created my Excel-based one.
I'll have to make it a short meeting.
again, the January and February meetings follow what we've done in the past because of the holiday. We've
Yep.
always hit the 4th Monday of the month. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same. I would hope again to be able to cancel our summer ones.
Yeah, March is right in the middle of our, you know, when we're doing extra meetings, and, you know, early March, we usually hear from OBOE, you know, and Amity's usually in the January timeframe. Not always.
January, Amity's actually being moved this year. They're not gonna be ready in January. I've told Kevin, they're gonna come in our all-day meeting at the end to present. They were looking for another week to do their budget this year.
Oh, they already know that?
They asked- They asked me over a month ago about
Oh,
that.
okay, well, good planning.
So I just need a motion on these also, please.
Sure.
So moved.
Kevin?
is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstained, unanimous. Great. Okay. Item 9, discuss July 1st, 2026 budget, all-day budget meeting, February 7th, 2020.
I just wanted to get that all on your calendars. First,
Is that a
Friday
Friday?
of the month again, as we
Yep.
do always.
There it is.
We're gonna have couple little changes though this year. Amity, I just told you, they'll be in at the end of the meeting. The other thing we're doing this year, at least for this year, there's no capital planning committee. So I've already sent out the paperwork to the different departments. They're gonna send in their paperwork to Ann and myself, we're gonna put it together. It'll be in your book, and when the departments come in that day, each individual department will make their spiel for what they're looking for. We'll do it like this at least for this year and see how it goes. We've done it like this in the past before the Openquist
So
committee.
does that mean we'll have certainly have an agenda item for capital for OBOE, because they typically have capital requests, and they don't.
Theirs will be on the date they present their budget to us.
Oh, okay.
Each individual department will present, when they present their budget, like, Chief Gagny comes in first, he'll do his operating budget, then he'll do his request for his capital budget.
When
So they're
Mark-
formally dissolved, the capital committee?
It hasn't been formally dissolved, but most of the members of resigned from it, and there's no Board of Selectmen member on it right now.
John, this will mean that you'll need to manage the agenda that we do on the 7th.
You'll
To
have-
not have like a $25,000 department who have a capital request, so they have to be they have to take up a, you know, even a,
No, it's gonna.
20
you're gonna-
minutes about
you're
time
gonna-
that day.
You're gonna see the same departments you always see, because they're the ones that always ask for capital.
Police and
they're
Public
gonna-
Works.
And they're gonna have to
Yeah,
stay
it's the
in
big
their,
ones.
in their timeframe like they always do.
okay. So you'll need to manage, you know,
You'll
sometimes
have
more time than.
You'll have a list again in the January meeting of what times they're coming in.
And we can talk about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Item number 10, to review revenue and expense reports for October 2024. But it's really September, right?
Except some of the.
3.5
quarters.
months.
September
that's the
numbers.
way. It was October 17th, which gets you halfway. At least that's the way I thought of it when I was analyzing this stuff. And as I mentioned, I did. So, I'd be happy to bat lead off on this one. I'm looking at the revenue one. I'm more of a paper guy when I go through these, probably from historical. And I did some comparisons, John, with last year's numbers as well, just for kicks. On page 2, John, on the top there, we seem to be doing pretty well. I don't know if this will let me, yeah, it will, good. We seem to be doing pretty well up in the major categories of our revenue, As we can see, we get 76 million estimated just from, under the title of tax collector, but it's coming from, residential and commercial property and personal property and motor vehicle of various types and a few other things. But John, is it fair to say that this is looking a bit favorable, or how's your
I
assessment?
think it's about where we've been in the past.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, I certainly would like to see the motor vehicle collection be closer to zero, because
Yeah, it's
we
one
pay him
payment.
one
Yeah.
payment, but he works on that throughout the year and gets it down.
mm-hmm,
And I would hope when we do get the supplemental motor vehicle, that our budget estimate is 600,000 will be higher. I believe that was 8 when we sent out the bills last year, and
mm-hmm.
I would hope it would climb to that level.
Yeah, I actually was looking, when I was assessing this stuff, I did some research on the document we reviewed last meeting, which was the summary of the year end, which was helpful for my brain at least. One of the things I'd just like to point out, since I was thinking about it, maybe some of you have too, down on the bottom of page 2, you can see that the Yale voluntary pilot and the pilot, I think it's down there,
Yeah,
170 and
170,
100,000, those were fully paid last year, because that's the
Those
question.
come in the spring.
Yeah, so that's not to be so worried. Wouldn't it be great if we had, you can see that we used our bank account use of fund balance to the tune of 1.2 million because of the radical shift that we've already talked about last year in the budget here and elsewhere regarding the shift more to residential compared to commercial. And we did the phase-in as a result as well. John, I didn't understand, so put this one down as Jim wants to understand. What does state telephone mean?
We get money from the telephone companies for their lines being out on the poles.
Okay.
But it seems to go down every year.
Well, last year we got 59.9 as a number.
And I think if you go back a few years ago, it was closer to 100.
It was.
Oh,
yeah, I
so it's
remember
coming
that.
down, so you're being conservative with the 40 as your budget projection. You budgeted 40
It
rather
may,
than,
it may go up with all these cable companies stringing lines on the poles.
Sure.
I'm not exactly sure how that works.
Okay.
It's something to do with the state. They file reports with the state and the money comes out through there.
John, the special duty police, this 100 grand, and it always comes in, but it doesn't
That's
seem to
That's at
have
the
it.
end of the year.
Yeah.
It's for FICA and Medicare tax that the
Right.
town pays. The end of the year, Art does a sheet on what the labor cost was for special duty.
Right.
And then he puts it in there.
To the inquiring mind, when it always hits exactly 100,000,
I don't think
that,
it does. I think it floats depending on.
well, it was 100,000 last year, right on the nose.
It's based on private duty.
Yeah,
jobs, right?
yeah.
What's the town get
The
for percentage?
budget's 100,000, or you put 100,000?
Well, it took me a while to determine whether I was gonna put the budget from last year or the actual, and so I started flipping back and forth, so I may have looked it up wrong. I have the file here if we wanna look it up, I don't think we do. But
It
that's the
should be-
thing.
It should be based on what the labor cost
Right.
is for special duty. Now, he may have, because we had such a big revenue thing there, he might not have taken it all.
Okay. Roger, well, I don't wanna weigh you down.
It's the same thing with Park and Rec and OV&A,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's another one, the sewer, too. All those come in after, when we do the audit at the end of the year. It's
Okay.
calculation he does.
So I was looking, so the next page, John, what I was always looking for is who's under 27%, excuse me, let me just see what I was using, 29%, because that's what 3.5 months will get you. So I was at the top of the next page, and I'm looking only at big numbers, right? And so the refuse charges, which are a little under bid, or under, and it seems to be it would be a linear thing. But last year, it turned out that the actual was 196, which is probably why you budgeted 200 again this year. Is there anything to be considering regarding refuse charges?
No,
or
that could be somebody slow paying that we push, or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. Last year in Park and Rec, right in the middle of that page, first item, the self-help. We budgeted 40, last year they paid a little over 62.
That, there again, that means they had more labor, and we collected more money from their programs.
And it's based on how much they collect on their
It's
programs?
Depending on what their programs are and what they collect.
Okay. We get a
more.
piece of that, is that how the
Right.
deal works?
Right.
Okay, thank you. The gym, the rental fees and the gym, the pool were down last year, 16.8 thousand, so I was a little, good to see that. John, the permits of the food, at the bottom of, the middle of that page, food service, third one down, environmental health. We budgeted 32, I think I remember, we seem to be on a good pace, 31%, but last year we only collected 21, so I was wondering, what is that?
The-
Permits, food service.
The restaurants, food service in town have to take out permits every year. I believe most of them come due in May and June. So you're seeing that 9,975 that you collected now
That's-
is probably from the previous year, but we're on
Or
a
some
cash
Oh,
basis.
okay, all right. Good insight, wouldn't have realized that. Big numbers on the next page, just wanted to make sure what you're in. The ECS, we're a little over a million here, even with the zeros.
State's just slow paying on that. They usually first one comes in December.
Okay.
Usually a quarter each time.
Right. We got 995 last year, so we just budgeted a little higher, so it seems like it probably will come here.
Well, if you look at
Yeah,
some
they
of the
give us
stuff
that
coming
number.
out.
Yeah.
They said
Yeah.
they raised all the cities in town, so
Okay.
we went from 995 to 1,015,000.
All right.
Yeah.
And nearing the home stretch here, the town services and other, the public health nurse, 330. It seemed like we got 350 last year when we had only budgeted 260. Is that how we
That-
budgeted the 330?
Again, that depends on their labor over there.
Mm-hmm.
For us to pick up their FICA and Medicare, we bill them back.
Okay.
So that could be anywhere.
And this has nothing to do with OV&A
Oh, yeah.
this year? It
Oh,
does? Okay.
It's their labor. The FICA and Medicare is in our budget.
Mm-hmm.
So we charge them at the end of the year for what the FICA and Medicare is.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what that basically is,
Okay.
along with maybe, I don't know if there's some medical cost in there also, for a fee in there.
Yeah. Maybe it's not a revenue item, perhaps it's an expense one or something that's gonna cost, but are we gonna get an update on the situation at OV&A in the
Eventually.
forecasted month?
Eventually.
Okay. All right, so that's the revenue. That's what I
I had one
found.
comment, Jim, if I may.
Sure, what page,
Going
Joe?
back to the recycling,
Do you know which
it looks like,
page?
maybe one or two up,
Okay,
right there, then go down one, right over there. It looks like that market has really vanished for the most part.
where are we, Joe?
Up top, refuse, charges, textiles, cardboard, electronic, recycled metals, it's very limited at this point.
We
Yeah.
really get nothing for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
The only one that we could get something on is really the textiles. If you look around, there's some boxes at High Plains in front of the Public Works garage. If you got clothing and other things that are no good, that can't go to Goodwill or Savers, you could put them in that box and they're recycled into various things, whatever it is, and we get a little money for, I forget how much a pound or 100 pounds or whatever it is of that. The other markets are pretty much falling apart.
Well, metals, Joe, is
A
at,
little bit, yeah.
24% there and not, under the budget, but, and under the run rate that we would expect, if it's a flat run rate, yeah. Good catch.
I think the electronics they're collecting Saturday is part of the shredding day, and I think you have to pay to bring your electronics there. I forget what group is collecting that.
Okay, is that going to the town funds?
No, it's just a group trying to do that.
Okay, fine. Anything more on the revenue then?
That's it.
Joe? Yeah, you good?
Good.
Is he? Yeah, Anna? Okay, you wanna hit the expenses then? Let me see if we're kinda, here we go. Couple of things for those who, to get people more used to it, perhaps, certainly for Chad. Memberships do seem to be an item that, for example, you can see it right at the start here. It seems like memberships get paid early in the calendar year.
They do.
Right.
July,
Those are
August.
July 1st
Yeah.
usually.
And data processing for us in town, it just seems like we're consuming the data processing budget early in the calendar year. And I think that intuitively for me, for some reason, I said, oh, that makes sense. So if you see that a
It's
lot,
probably a
that's
lot
how
of
come.
software that comes due.
Yeah.
Contract with QDS.
The top of page 2 though, John, real quick on the auditing service, that, in the finance area, I guess that would be you. We pay, how does the payment get up?
She bills us every once in a while. That last 31,000 will be billed after the audit is done.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
And that's a fixed fee anyway, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
it's not gonna,
I don't think it'll be the whole 31 because we do budget a little extra for some other things they may have to do during the year, like retro on some of the contracts when it gets too much for us to do.
Trying to see a mistake up there, next to finance director, there's an increase of $4,100, is that a mistake, you think?
No comment. No comment.
Sure, wasn't it 4161? I mean,
Well deserved, for sure. Do good
I
work for us.
100% agree. Page 4 is the next one I have, T. Whoops, it's IT, wherever I can get to it. Here we go. I was real happy to see that we're investing our categories of money, because again, how do I look at this? I look at it, what's large and what has a high percentage over 29%, to either understand it or to say, hey, what's up? So you could see this couple of 64%, but when I went to the side and said, oh, they're spending it early in the year on a computer equipment and network hardware, very smart, sounds like a good idea to me. It also helps you kind of get a sense on how the departments operate.
Hey, John, are those the 32,000 under equipment, computer equipment, and the 28,005 under technical services? Are those encumbrances that are carried over from the prior year?
I don't know which ones are because I did carry some over
Yeah.
in case we need them, but he does encumber certain licenses and software.
At the end of the
Things
year?
that he needs.
Yep.
No, at the beginning of the year, so he knows he has the money already there when the actual bill invoices come in. If you
Yeah, because
remember,
we're adding 110 to the budget.
right,
Right,
that, anything you see adding is probably encumbrance that I did.
gotcha.
Or a lot
If-
of it, yeah.
Yeah, if you remember, when he comes in with his budget,
Yeah.
he's got it all broken down, he gives you all
Right,
the
the licenses,
software
yeah,
and
yeah.
the amounts and everything else. He's got a good handle on his department and where it's being spent and how it's being spent and when it comes due.
Looks like we also have a good handle on the legal department, you can see in the middle of this page.
Yeah,
Um,
I think there's a month or two's bills missing there.
There's lags. yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna slide to the one that I'm, had next thing on, and that's on page 7. Page 6. Here's page 7. Right at the top, John, that building maintenance, it may be something we've even improved here or talked about. And I see the 45% caught my eye. And then I came back and I said, well, 18,000 was added to the 35,000, we encumbered 14. Can you just educate us a little bit on what's going on?
I think part of it was that he spent already, was on the windows at Town Hall down in the meeting room area.
Oh.
They blocked up some of those in the IT.
Where the
room
IT area
where they
is,
were
that they
leaking.
had to do the
I
window?
think that's part of it.
Okay. Okay, well, if you keep your eye on that one, that'd be kinda cool. Hey, nothing about nothing, but I've never seen the salary of a senior person be lower than the salary of the clerk in the treasurer's department as we have here. And I don't wanna get into personalities, cause that's not what it is, but can you help me understand, just so that I would be conversant if someone would ask me? The budget under the salary for the treasurer and the salary for the treasurer clerk.
The treasurer only works 30 hours a week, and the clerk works 37 and a half. But let me look at that.
Okay. I would have thought it would have been
The
flipped.
treasury clerk is a union position, so
Oh,
I
okay.
need to I'll look at that.
All right, thank you. That would be helpful. That 87,000 encumbered in the police thing in the next page, John, page 8. Is that the thing that we, for the roof, we've already done?
That's the antenna. When you leave tonight, if you look towards the back of the building, the new antenna is up,
Okay.
and I believe that's the cost of that.
Did we do a transfer at 92,005, or did I, Kevin, do you remember?
I believe that's the carryover. We encumbered it from last year's
From last
budget.
year? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that transfer column might have a big definition. All right, I'm good with it.
They're actually gonna start the roof here in 2 weeks.
Good,
Hopefully the weather holds out, It should.
okay.
Well, they needed to get the old antenna off the roof first and the new one operating, and I believe that's done now.
So on page 11, the one thing I wanted to, I just brought it to my mind myself, and perhaps this body, is the Orange Volunteer Fire Department at the moment gets 190,000 in our town budget. There are other expenses that they benefit from that the town pays, various things. John has a list of those, but I just wanted to let you know why that was at 50%. That's probably 2 payments, right, John?
They get
Yeah.
they get the second payment in January.
Roger that. All right, I have a question in the Public Works Administration and then on page 12, which is the next one. We have a position, is it empty? The fourth from the bottom, salary clerical 39, and we haven't done it, we haven't used it.
When Sylvie moved over to my office,
Right.
Antoinette took Sylvie's job.
Okay.
And we haven't replaced Antoinette yet.
Okay. And of course, the 645,000, we know we're going to be getting it, we just haven't paid anything yet, is that the deal?
Right, that's twice a year. We'll get a payment, we'll get an invoice from the water company in January.
Yeah.
And then in July.
So that obviously is what drives the 11% overall, all right, good. Hey, how about on the roadway underneath that? Again, inquiring minds would like to know. I'm seeing this gasoline for the highway, which has a certain budget, but again, I go over to the percentages over on the right, and as you can see over here, you can see it's 31%, which sounds pretty close to the 29 of a run rate. But then I noticed that the diesel, for whatever reason, is only at 8%, way under.
We use a lot less diesel than we do gasoline. Most of the vehicles now are gasoline, including the trucks.
So if we
Trucks used to be
were to
diesel.
forecast an underage, we might see a diesel
You might,
underage.
I think we saw it last year too. We'll be going out to bid in December. I talked to
Okay.
Tony Genovese, and we're
Roger that.
scheduled to go out to bid on that in
Okay.
December, and we'll look at the gallonage that we bid on the diesel.
Okay, keeping the pace up, on the next page, on the public works roadways, the streets and bridges, we had 164 of either a transfer or carryover or something.
That was, he's using part of that money for paving, and he wasn't done at June 30th. He had other roads still to pave.
Okay. All right, good. On page 14, two more down, hope this next page is page 14.
Nope, 15.
Missed by one. Almost a violation, Joe, you have to keep it fair, right?
Keep it fair.
There you go.
Okay. Solid waste disposal, I'm noticing we have an encumbrance of 354. And I guess my question is this, since we see 2, 3, or 4 big encumbrances, I'm not questioning it, John, or anything like that. I'm really trying to understand, when do you say, and it, you know, like you were mentioning, Paul does it in IT. When do you say, hey, how do you determine these particular items I need to do encumbrances? And then how do you determine the number? Because it isn't always the full budget number. Just help me understand
No.
the process.
Bob Britton goes through it, and he sees what the tonnage is, not even from the previous year. He might look at a couple of
Couple of
different
years
years.
back, yeah.
And then he takes the new price, and he says, okay, this is what I believe I'm gonna use this year. And he encumbers it, so he knows he doesn't have that money remaining if he's looking for money to do something throughout the year. So right now, using that 354, he's saying he thinks he's gonna have a balance left over at the end of the year of $2,900.
Right.
If you remember, a couple of years ago, he wrote you a memo saying he thought because of the price of solid waste
Right.
and everything down there, he was gonna be over budget.
Right.
And he started managing it and checking things, and we started the fee down there for the household
Yep.
demolition stuff and all.
So you don't make the determination of the encumbrance, the head of the department
Right,
does?
right.
Oh, he's
I'll
using
do
it
it.
as a check so
I'll
that he...
do it. I'll do it sometimes at the end of the year where I think I could save money for the following year. Like if we have money left in repair and maintenance accounts, building
Right.
repair and maintenance, there's things we could do all over the place. So I'll usually, if our budget's in a surplus, I'll usually encumber that money so we have it down the road.
So there's a choice for encumbering it versus letting it fall, what I'll say, to the bottom line. And if you'd let that happen, you'd have a higher surplus, I guess.
Correct.
So you wanna say, hey, come on.
Correct.
You know, we got stuff
If
we
you
can
know
fix
this thing,
around. here.
right,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, that helps me understand the process a lot. Okay, fire and
See,
away.
I'll give you an example there. That household hazardous waste, they send us bills 2 times a year, but we're still missing the bill from June 30th. That's what that encumbrance is right now.
Okay. All right, quick one on page 15, the next page, if I would. So I'm seeing an area, Orange Center, 643 Orange Center Road. We didn't have it in the budget, because we don't have anything budgeted.
Correct.
And we have three things where,
$170.
now, this is the place that they were heating higher than my own house when I had the heat on, if I remember right.
No,
No?
this is the house in the park, next to the parking lot at Mary L. Tracy School.
Oh, that's the
that
new
we just
property.
purchased.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the one on Old Tavern Road, you know, down the street from you, Joe?
Or Brian House?
Whatever it is,
Oh, yeah, the
yeah.
Historical Society.
Yeah, they wanted to keep the wood good, so they kept it at 60, whatever it was, and, okay. All right, thank you for
So
educating
Ken,
me. on-
isn't this gonna grow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
is this a
only-
monthly
that's
thing? I
only-
mean,
That's
Oh,
only
1 month.
probably 1 month.
1 month.
Okay, so.
But there's nobody in the house, so
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
using very little electricity. The water is probably the minimum you pay because you have the service unless you shut off the water.
I have well water. Does it cost that much to have water? It costs $1,000 a year to have water?
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, about right. It goes a 100 a month-ish, 90.
It's a selling item when I sell my house, right? I mean, hey, you don't have to pay, well,
Well, really?
save $1,000 a year on your expense.
As long as it's not
Buy the ranch.
contaminated.
Well, that, yeah, we drink a lot of bottled water is what we do.
Don't tell
okay.
that to the new buyer.
Okay, firing away, page 17 for you, Todd. This 16, all right. Field improvements, is this what we were just talking about? Or-
No.
No, what,
That's that's
Well, give me a story on
that's,
that line item,
That's,
yeah.
you guys did that. That was the $140,000 for the study being done at Fred Wolf Park.
Right.
That, I think we did that in June.
We took that out of the capital account.
No, I think I found money throughout the budget. I think we did a
Last year's
transfer.
budget.
You're right.
So
There's
you,
132 left. We just paid one bill.
okay, so you found in that same thing, some things we gotta fix, rather than letting it fall to the bottom line. You found 140 that you wanted to put in that line item for this year,
That you guys approved.
piece. Okay, I'm just
Because I
thinking of the
can't,
process
I
of.
can't do that on my own.
Right, that's, I would like to think so. Okay.
Remember that.
Page, the next one, 18, it's in the category of the teen center. Team donation. Second line item under the town contribution. No, it says team, oh, it's under town contributions, plural.
Right.
The first one was the teen center, the second one, that's what got me confused. Team donation.
That's, I forget exactly what they do, but we pay that $6,000.
Last year, we budgeted 5 and we
Right,
actual 5.
And they asked for additional 1,000 and we put it in the budget.
Who are, do you,
That comes through the first selectman's office.
oh, okay.
It's not CERT, right?
No. The next one, actually, we just got the bill today for soil and water. So that one will be out of there next month.
Okay.
The rape crisis, that's Tony Vitti. I gotta push him to get an invoice.
Yeah, we've been doing
to
that
pay
one
for
for forever.
Yeah, that's, if you remember, the police also refer
Yeah.
people. Most of these things, we use some service
Yeah.
that they have. Soil, for instance, soil and water right now, I know for a fact they're on the tree farm doing a study on the solar panels that are going up there.
Okay. My next one is on the next page, I think. It's page 19, yes. The Director of Health, we seem to have a salary part-time, not budgeted. So, over, you know, 4,800.
There's a nurse that works 8 hours a week for Dr. Mohammed that we got a grant from the state last year to pay that. So the money is in last year's revenue and the costs are kinda in this year, the way it works.
Oh, okay. And that was a one-time state revenue, one
I
of
think
these,
it-
we'll give you
I think
something to get
runs-
it started,
I
then
think
you have to pay for it.
Yeah, to put
forever.
in what she's doing or whatever. I think it's for 2 years, something like that.
So given this is, let's just say it's a quarter of the way, so we could expect by the end of the year, and we'll call this 5,000. By the end of the year, it'll be somewhere between 18 and 20,000.
20. And I
Okay.
think there was another 10 probably last year in it.
And underneath that, we had nothing budgeted for the Board of Health, one line item, as you can see there, and nothing coming in, so.
I could ask Deb, I don't think they've had a meeting in a while, right?
It's been close to a year.
Okay.
Well, I can
That-
understand with
that
budget
actually-
zero.
That actually, for the Secretary of Board of Health, that's for minutes, and that's
Oh,
actually Deb.
okay.
And all her hours get charged to my department. I've moved all her
Oh,
hours
okay.
to my department, so.
Sorry, Deb, I didn't know I was. Good. Okay, outreach worker, salary, oh, that just helped me understand. Okay, on page 21, keeping firing forward, here's 20, here's 21. At the middle of the page, benefits. Like everybody in our town to know that we have 100% already paid, the pension for the town and the pension for the police. You can see that by the 100% on the right-hand column for those line items.
Those are both made in July, as soon as we clear enough tax money for them.
And the
Like
reason
to
it's
get
up
them in early.
56%, way above 29 on a straight line run rate, is there's a lot of stuff like that in employee benefits, many of the categories. I'm not gonna belabor it more than that. But John, I will ask this question. What is the second one from the bottom, pension other of 825,000?
That is the 401 that the employees receive from the town. That's the town match on the 401.
Okay,
Was that 5%, John? 6?
It's 10% for 5 unions and 12% for the police.
Yeah.
Wow,
But probably only 50% of the employees are doing the most.
really?
really?
That's it? Wow,
It's a dollar for dollar match?
Dollar for dollar.
yeah.
And only on straight time, no overtime.
Wow, and only 50%?
Do the max, you said.
Yeah.
Max is 10.
Hey, John, you know,
No,
in
but
the
only
spirit of,
50% of the employees are
Right.
doing the max.
in the spirit of next time I look at this, if it were to say pension dash 401K, I might recognize it better than pension other.
Is it a 401A or?
In other words, can we change the name?
It's more than a 401A, though. It's 457. It's a Roth 457.
Gotcha.
It's,
Depends on the product.
right.
Yeah.
It's all 3 of them in there
Combined.
combined. It's not just a 401A.
I don't even know if I'd need the word pension. I think I'd rather hear those things than the word pension other. That's all I'm saying,
I don't think I could fit,
They are pensions.
yeah.
you know,
There's
Well-
different types.
maybe.
I'll
Okay.
ask Art if he could come up with a little better wording than that.
Okay.
Just employee match.
Yeah, call it defined contribution plan.
Hey, I like that.
Match or,
Very good.
Yeah, put the word match in there and
we'll know.
All right, John, top of the page, I got my calculator out. I see 2 line items. They don't have to be with education, but it's basically about numbers. So I'm asking myself, we've expended year-to-date $5.5 million for the Orange Public Schools, which has a $24 million budget. And we have expended $11.6 million for the Amity, our share of Amity of $27.4. So, the way my mind works, I then divided that 24 million by 12, and I said, okay, 12 pieces of 2 million, 12 months. About 2 million a month goes to the Orange Public School System. So I said, well, okay, it's a little less than that, or somehow it was only 5.5. But when I got to the Amity one, and knowing that it at best is only 4 months of the current school year, I divided 27.4 by 12, and I got, 2.5 or 2.6, and if it was 4 already rather than 3, like seems to be for Orange, that would be at best a little over 10 million, and yet I see here 11.6. Can you help us out?
Each district is asked before the new year to provide the treasurer with
Projection?
a projection for each month. And that projection is what he funds them by each month. So they're asking for that amount of money. Each school.
Well, do it, I guess,
I mean, you can't.
it would make
you
sense,
can't-
you need all your books in a certain, you need all that material day one.
So
It's
they
not
have
gonna
a
be,
lot
it's
of
not gonna be
upfront
easy.
Yeah,
stuff.
you can't look at it that it's gonna be the same amount
Yeah,
every month.
like a car loan.
Right.
But why would it be so different in one? They're both doing education. Why would it be so different and maybe there's, stuff to
That I
it?
can't answer. It could be different vendors or
So you
different
come up with a
things
schedule
that-
prior to the school?
They come up with a schedule of what he needs to fund them throughout the.
Terry
throughout
gives them the
year.
schedule, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right.
Could be based on contract dates, of when contracts are due. You gotta make
They
payments.
could-
Could be myriad things. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly, you know,
Software
secondary,
Certainly
course,
salaries.
everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
salaries, secondary schools have different needs than elementary schools,
Wouldn't
to
you-
Kevin's point.
Well, when I was teaching, I guess salaries could be more variable because you can get paid over, 10 months versus?
22
Yeah.
versus a balloon check.
Or.
I don't know how Orange
I know
does it.
that, and I don't know about Amity, but I know the Orange Elementary Schools, their last payroll after they get out of school is huge because some
They
of
do
the
the balloon
teachers,
check.
right,
They do the balloon, yeah.
right.
Oh, so that would
Carries them
that
all the
would
way
help
to the end of
understand
August.
why they're
Can't remember, but I
under
don't
2
think
million.
Amity
For,
offers
for
that
Orange,
anymore.
could be.
Yeah.
I don't think Amity does that.
I'm real surprised by that Amity one.
But also,
anyway.
I mean, you know, if you think about, there are, in a secondary school district, they're gonna have books for every subject versus in an elementary school, they're just different expenditures depending on
Okay.
on the level.
Thinking about it too, going back to sports, they're probably
have
buying
sports.
equipment for the sports at
There
the
are no
beginning
sports
of
at the
the
elementary
year
school,
for,
right.
right, yeah.
John, on second last page, I guess, maybe it's the last page, page 23. Try to get there quick. There it is. Capital reserve, that 339, 830, is that what we have already?
No, there's one big thing in there, I forget what it is now. Can't remember.
Okay.
I can't
maybe next
remember.
time
There's something big in there that we're taking money out of. And then there's a little bit that's, an actual reserve if we need it down the road, but I can't remember what the big item is.
It's not for engineering and design work, is it for something?
No. I don't remember what it was. I'll
All right,
get
well,
that to
you know, we can cover it another time.
get that to you.
I'm giving you what I got.
I'll send you the email on what it is.
Okay. So anyway, as you get to the bottom line, which is the last page, you can see we're at 37.9% of our expenditures, and we're only 29% through the year. But for all the reasons we just discussed, we're paying stuff early, you're feeling on board overall, John, and how we're doing here?
I don't see any real problems
Mm-hmm.
yet with the budget.
Hey, Jim, can you just scroll back to page
Sure.
10 for me? for
Page
one
10?
sec? Yeah.
Coming right up. I'd love to be able to go there exactly right away. Ooh, I almost had it there, Kevin. I think this is it.
Yeah, under the, so John, under the salary for fire marshal, fire marshal salary goes from 93.8 to 107.
Actually, it's going a little higher. The fire marshal salary was increased by act of the Board of Selectmen in
May?
September.
Oh, okay.
There was a reason to increase his salary in September. It actually went to 110 in September, but because we're already through part
Couple
of the
months
year,
in, yeah.
right,
Run
right.
rate's
So
107.
is that so that's a salaried position? It's not, it's a non-union position?
Non-union
Non-union.
position.
Okay.
It was at that 93 level for a while, wasn't it? 'Cause I think when
he's-
Timmy used to present to us, That was,
He was
his salary was around 92.
somewhere around there, but
He's a very knowledgeable guy,
Yeah.
very
Sure,
knowledgeable
yeah.
guy.
we've made great inroads there with him and the deputy fire marshal, who's
Yep.
also our
Real good guy.
emergency management
Yeah, they're
guy.
both great.
So
Yeah.
they're doing a good job down there.
Yeah, I was just curious to see if it was a, like a 3-year retro, if it was a
Yeah,
new
no,
position. I
no.
didn't know if the contract expired or,
You'll see it in the new budget at 110.
okay.
Well, anyway, that's what I was spending my time on my vice chairman report. I decided to do this.
So John, I have a question here. So you have this variable year to date expended, like to this report, are you able to add another variable or you cannot? Like last year to date? That way we'll have comparison year over year.
I can't do it
the
on,
exact date.
I can't do it on expense. Art was talking about doing it on revenue, but right now, like that report we've given you in the past,
Yeah.
but right now, he's so jammed up with the audit and stuff, I told him to hold off on it. I'd rather get the audit done than work on that right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a while to get used to these 23-page
Really,
multiple
on
lines.
the expense side, last year's really isn't gonna help you that much, because the budget's kinda changed pretty much year to year.
Yep.
Now, unlike the revenue, where on the revenue side, especially on the tax collection side, you can see where the percentage is, it's a little more valuable.
So, okay.
Was there anything you wanted to highlight? As he flipped through his, anything I had yellow, Jim already brought up.
I think if you're looking in that fire marshal area, there's one account that's
What page, Johnny?
negative.
Same page.
Oh, we're right there,
Page
you got it?
10.
We got it? Okay.
And I believe we're owed a payment from the volunteer fire department on some shared software there, and I'm gonna check with Jamie on that tomorrow.
Okay.
I think we put out the total cost, and then we're supposed to get a percentage back.
John, what's the estimated volunteer fire department budget now? Do we know that? Do we?
Their budget?
Yeah, any idea? Yeah, we don't share with us? Yeah.
We'll put it this way, nothing I could say in public.
No, it's okay.
Well, like anything else, Joe, the costs have been going up.
Yeah.
You know, they may be because of what I did on the, 50K challenge, we call it, right? A trustee, of course, my first question was, oh, what does a trustee do? You know, in my world, there's roles and responsibilities when you have the title, you know, I mean, so we have, I think, yeah, I'm involved a little bit, so. We'll see.
Okay. Good on the income and expense, everyone?
Good, good.
Kevin?
So moved.
No, you have to say it out loud, 'cause PJ would never let you get away with that.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:14. Thank you very much.